G'day and welcome to Pints with Aquinas. My name is Matt Fradd and it has been 3 months since I got rid of my smartphone, and I'm here today to tell you about what that's like and honestly to encourage you to do exactly what I have done. All of this started about 3 years ago. I was feeling very overwhelmed by technology. On Friday nights, I would drive my backpack to a friend's house, and in that backpack was my laptop and my smartphone, and those were the only two ways I could access the internet at the time. We didn't have a desktop or anything at home. And I'd go home for that weekend and just remember feeling how slow the days would go and how I wish life was like this all the time. After that, I heard a podcast by Matt Walsh. This is about several months later, about social media and what it's doing to us. And I decided to get off social media. I haven't been on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook for about 3 years now. Somebody else runs it. I don't access it ever, never go on. If it looks like I'm interacting, it's just one of the people that I pay to make it seem that way. And I remember thinking, gosh, my life is so much better because of that. Shortly after that, I started taking August off of the internet. This is the third year in a row now I've done that. So the entire month of August, zero, keyboards, emails, YouTube, anything, right? I'm not on for the entire month. And for the last 3 years, I've been realizing just how drastically I need to change my life to live a more beautiful life. I want to be somebody who's present to his wife, present to his children and friends and community, and I don't want to be sucked into the matrix, or to put it as Dave Rubin put it on my show, I don't want to be a battery powering the matrix. And so even as I sit here today, having gone 3 months without a smartphone, I still think much more radical things need to be done in my life. It's like I keep getting these tastes of freedom, and it's amazing. But maybe I'll talk a little bit about that later on. Anyway, at the start of August this year, when I went offline and gave my phone away and everything, I decided to get a dumb phone because I wanted my parents in Australia to get a hold of me if they needed to, or my wife if she needed to, or something like that. And so I started looking in to different phones. And the phone I decided to go with is a phone put out by Techless. It looks like a smartphone, but it is not. And they built everything from the ground up. So there is a phone, there is text messaging, there is even maps, but all of this is built from the ground up. They don't use Google or anything like that. And, it came in the mail, and I unboxed it, and you know how you feel kind of excited when you unbox something, and you think to yourself, God, this is going to be terrific, I'm never going back. But at the same time, I knew I'd made that promise before about things, so I didn't want to be overly optimistic about how long I could make this last. It's been 3 months, and I 100% will never, ever, 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 ever go back to a smartphone. And if you can, I would highly encourage you to get rid of your smartphone as well. And I don't say that from a judgy, preachy place. I say that as somebody who has just tasted this great deal of freedom in my own life because of it, and I want you to share it as well. Okay, where to start? Why don't I start from something that happened to me recently that I think drives home the point that I need to make even more radical decisions. Okay, so my wife is currently in France. She's doing a river cruise. She's been in Paris and Lisieux and these different places. She'll be back on Sunday. I miss her so much. It's been, just side note, I love my wife so much. Like, she is so great. She's not having her in the house is like not being home. It would be like going to somebody else's house and someone saying, relax. You're like, I can't. This is totally unfamiliar. Not having my wife is unfamiliar, and I don't like it. Don't tell her I said that, but I can't wait to have her back on Sunday. Anyway, why was I telling you about my wife? I don't even know. She's in France. Okay, so she's in France. Okay, 2 days ago, I remember that at the start of August, I had given my laptop to a neighbor friend of mine, Dr. Welker, who teaches economics here at Franciscan. Great guy. Him and I read The Lord of the Rings this summer. Another side note, I might have ADD. Have I mentioned that? Anyway, it's been like 3 months. I didn't even have my laptop back because I didn't think to ask for it, because I have a desktop at work and I just, whatever. But anyway, it was this one night and I was feeling kind of tired, and I thought to myself, you know what? I would just love to watch a few shows of whatever tonight. Like, it'd just be nice to have my laptop in the kitchen. I could clean the kitchen, maybe watch a show, listen to a podcast while I clean. That'd be nice. So I wrote to them. I'm like, hey, do you still have my laptop? Kind of hoping you'll say yes. And they say yes. And they brought it over. And I said to myself, I'll just watch a few shows tonight. Well, I just went down the rabbit trail. It was awful. I mean, I just watched a ton of meaningless things. And then I think about like 10:45 at night, quickly shut the laptop lid for fear that I would spend another couple of hours wasting my life. And the next night, I said to myself, okay, I'm only going to watch 2 shows of this thing. It was very intentional. I thought, so long as I'm intentional, it's okay. And I did it. I just felt totally not rested again. So I've decided I'm getting rid of my laptop as well. So that's happening today. But yeah, man, it's a bloody difficult thing to be present, to actually feel your feelings and to be aware of your body and to be present to what's going on in your head. That's bloody hard because sometimes I don't like what's going on in my head, and the computer and the phone help me avoid that. Now, I am fully aware of the irony of what I'm saying to you. I'm fully aware that I now make my living on YouTube. And what I'm telling you to do is to get rid of your smartphone. Listen, your life would be I think your life would be better if you never watched me again and got rid of your smartphone. Like, I'm really okay with you doing that. I think your life would improve. It wouldn't be beneficial to me, obviously, but it would be better for you. So you should consider quitting Pints with Aquinas altogether, never watching this again, but never watch anything else again, and just sort of get offline. So I wrote to the guys, actually had a good chat with the guys who run this company. They're called Techless. This is called the Wise Phone. They're Christian guys, actually, north of Dallas. I had a good chat with them, and I said to them, I've had this experience. Basically, if I'm not getting any money from this promo code, but I told them I would be plugging their phone. And if you put Fradd in the promo code at checkout, that will give you $40 off of this phone. There is a link in the description below. Click it and consider getting this phone. The reason I love this phone is there were 3 kind of things I wasn't willing to give up. Maybe I will be at one point, but I'm not now. And that was maps. I wanted to have maps. I didn't want to have to buy a GPS unit at wherever, Walmart or something. I wanted to do group text, and then also taking photos, because for my work, I take photos of my receipts and I text them to my accountant, God bless him. Those 3 things I can do with this phone. It takes photos. I can, I was at Costco the other day buying something. I took a photo of something, sent it to my wife. Is this what you want? Yes, okay. So it's actually really great. I love it. So anyway, if you want to get the phone, click the link below. Use Fradd, F-R-A-D-D. I think it's all capital letters, and then they'll take $40 off, and you can get this phone. But I'm never going to go back. All right, so here's some of the things that I have realized having been off the phone for 3 months. The first is I don't buy nearly as many things because I'm not having my phone continually market to me. It's not advertising to me. And I didn't realize just how often I bought things because of advertisements when I had my smartphone. But now that I don't have a smartphone and I have a dumb phone, I'm aware of how much I was buying before because of these little images and advertisements that would come up on the smartphone. So really glad about that. Second thing, I don't listen to podcasts anymore. And again, your life would be better if you got a dumb phone and never listened to me again. I think that's true. Wouldn't benefit me, would benefit you. Maybe I'm overstating my case here. People do write to me and tell me that they've come into the Catholic Church, that they're converting, and learning about things like this, right? So I get that there's some benefit to my podcast, but I don't think there's nearly as much as I'd like to pretend that there is. Getting rid of your phone, I think, would be way better. But I don't listen to podcasts anymore. Why don't I listen to podcasts anymore? Well, because this doesn't have a podcast app. I think they're currently doing work on this phone so you can kind of drag like a file onto the phone to listen to something, but it won't be like a Spotify thing. But anyway, so when's the last time you sat down to listen to a podcast? Unless you were driving somewhere. Probably never. So because of that, I just don't listen to podcasts anymore. I drive around in silence, and I've actually really liked that. It's been really cool not to have people's voices in my head all day, even people's voices that I greatly respect and even benefit from. It's been nice to walk around with that kind of peace. The other thing that happens is I go home from work and I can no longer, I actually am forced to unplug. Since I don't have computers at home and I don't have a smartphone at home, there is actually no possible way for me to go online when I go home. Especially now that I'm getting rid of this laptop that I just got back. Email is not a possibility for me. YouTube, just to see how that clip's doing, not a possibility for me. And I actually find it painful. Like I'm like, I want that, but I can't have it. But I think that's a good thing. The other night, my daughter was sitting on the couch with me and she was reading a book, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. And I thought to myself that if I had the possibility to distract myself to death right now through the phone, I'd probably want that, unfortunately. I'd probably want to send my kids to bed early so I could watch this show or check how this thing's doing. Not a possibility for me anymore. So I would really recommend that you think about this. Is it hard? Yeah, it's painful. It's hard, man. Like, I told this story last time. I was in Savannah and I needed to get to the airport, but I couldn't get an Uber. And so I got a taxi, which was such a weird experience. This is just an example of one of the things that's tough about having a dumb phone. I had to go down, ask for a number for a taxi, called the taxi. They said it'd be 20 minutes. They dropped me off, and then I got to give my credit card information then, and it's just different. And there's a lot of things like that that are difficult because the world is now revolving around this idea that everybody has a smartphone, and so you can have this app for this and this app for that. I don't have that. So life is less convenient in many ways, but it's a heck of a lot more peaceful. And I actually really want that for you. It's nice to be able to talk about something on YouTube that you genuinely believe in. Like, this is something I genuinely want for you. I know I'm not alone. I know a lot of people are just, their head feels so scrambled because of social media. They find themselves getting continually angry, distracted, unable to read a book, unable to read a page without feeling the need to check something. Or maybe you have a spouse and you're like, why is she on her phone right now? Why is he on his phone right now? Like, I think we're all struggling with this. I think proof that we're all struggling with this is the fact that iPhone now has a feature that tells you how many hours you've spent looking at your phone. And I guess the goal is to make that less the next week. Apple's not incentivized to make you use their product less, but clearly there's a demand for that kind of feature. So I just want to kind of encourage you to do something crazy right now and break your phone. Like, smash it with a hammer. Don't give it to someone else. That would be a terrible thing to do to somebody. Smash it. Ask your spouse maybe, or your parents. Don't do it if you're, do what you want. How about that? And if that means never listening to Pints with Aquinas again, I genuinely think your life would be better. If it means sitting home and reading a book, it would be better. So that's that. Life's great. Really happy about it. As I say, I'm about to make some other serious changes. I think this is just the beginning. Just living more locally, walking to people's houses, spending time with people I care about, getting off the interwebs, which I know, again, is ironic because I have a YouTube channel. I'm struggling with that. All right. I would love to see what some of y'all have to say here in the comment section. Whoa there. Jonathan says, I've been 2.5 months on dumb phone now. I absolutely love it. Cool. Tell us why, Jonathan. Let's see. If you've got anything you want to share, feel free. I'm not sure how to say this person's name. Nay. Thank you for sharing your testimony. It makes me rethink the ways I use technology and how much I really need it. How much of it I really need. Yeah. The answer is you don't need nearly as much as you think you do. Nor do I. So you should get rid of your phone. That's kind of it, man. As a Gen Xer, we did not have smartphones for our youth, early adulthood. I got a phone to talk to my kids and track them. All right, so that's cool. But you also don't need a phone now. I'm willing to bet. So I think people like me who kind of grew up before the internet tend to speak negatively about young kids today, about their phone use. But meanwhile, I see grandparents who seem way just as addicted to their phones as kids. So I'm not saying this to you specifically who made that comment, but let's not just sort of congratulate ourselves for growing up without phones. Nothing was required of you back then. Something's required of you now, and that's to live more intentionally. So if you do have a phone or an iPad, you could consider getting rid of them. I mean, not the least of reasons is the fact that Apple is spying on what you do. Google is searching, scanning your emails, things like that. As I say, WisePhone, they told me they built the message app, they built the phone app from the ground up. Google is not involved. No big tech is involved in this. It's kind of cool. Christian Says, Matt, something I struggle with is always wanting background noise. I work from home when I am working or doing stuff around the house. Is that something you struggle with? How did you combat that? I did. I struggled with it. And I understand exactly what you're talking about. I got a record player when I took the month of August off, and that was really great. Just to be able to buy a record and to intentionally listen to a short piece of music and not just consume it, like billions of songs randomly on Spotify or something. Get rid of Spotify too while you're at it. So that's one way I enjoy. So like last night I was cleaning the kitchen and I put on my record player and I listened to just different stuff that I like. I don't know if it's too cliche to say I really like jazz, but I do. So I was just listening to some of that. But in the car, it was hard at first. But actually, here's another benefit that just came to mind. So one thing I've noticed that I'm doing more is I'm actually calling people more to talk with them. So I think whereas before, maybe I was listening to this podcast or watching this video or listening to this Audible book or what have you, it's like I still want connection. Maybe those other things are sometimes, they mimic connection, but I still want that. So what I find is I call people up. I'm like, hey, how are you doing? So, I mean, maybe that's my way of like compensating for that lack of background noise, right? Like, oh, I don't like this. I want to call someone. And even if that is the case, okay, maybe I need to work on that, but it's still kind of cool to connect with another human being and to do that over listening to a. So that's another thing I've noticed. I kind of call people more. Salty Tribe says, I really want to ditch my smartphone, just trying to figure out how to run a business without it. I only use the social media, but would love to quit that one as well. Yeah, so, I mean, look, I'm somebody who runs a business. Pints of the Aquinas is a business. We've got like 5 or 6 people that work for me in different capacities. And 3 years ago, when I quit social media, I paid someone to run it for me. I gave them my passwords. I told them what I was after, told them what to do, what not to do, and they took it over. I have somebody who does my shipping. So when people support at pintswithaquinas.com, they become a subscriber over there. I have somebody who gets the notification and sends the beer stein, right? Sends the book. This is not something I was able to do immediately. It's because I didn't have any kind of cash flow. But once I started having some money coming in, okay, now I can hire a full-time video editor. Now I can hire this person and an assistant who books the interviews and things like that. And that honestly just sort of made it so that I was able to kind of gradually detach from the phone. So I would recommend, look, I don't know you, so I wouldn't want to say anything, what do you say, sort of irresponsible, but just be careful of making excuses or saying like, one day I'm going to do this. Like maybe do it before this video's over, especially if you've paid your phone off. Just smash it against the corner of a table. Just do it. Oh, here's the other thing I did. When I got this new dumb phone, I just got a new phone number. I don't know about you, but it's like I've had my old phone number for the last 7, 8 years, and every human being I've encountered on planet Earth for more than 5 minutes, for some reason, I gave my number to. And so I was just now in this, like, I'm always getting back, always text messages, always, and I just thought, I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to be in contact with 80 people every couple of weeks, whatever. So I got rid of my phone number as well. And then what I did was, before I got rid of my phone, I wrote a text and it said, hey, here's my new dumb phone number. I'm getting rid of this phone. Please keep it secret. Don't give it out. And then I on my smartphone, right, I cut and I pasted that and I sent it to about 20 people who live near me and who I have daily communication with. That's a difficult thing to do because I know that there are people who have been writing to me. I mean, I just assume that there's been people who've been texting me and they're wondering why the heck it is I haven't gotten back to them. But I think it's just like a price I'm willing to pay. Like this idea that you have a monopoly on my time, that you can text me and I'm under some obligation to write you back, and vice versa. Like just because I text you doesn't mean you have to text me back. Ever. Especially not right away. But it's like, as I say, the more we all use smartphones, there's this expectation. Like it hasn't cut down it hasn't given us more leisure. It's made us more like, rats in one of those wheels, So... yeah, man. All right. Goofball McDude, it's incredible how you're teaching us how to disconnect after having some of this technology for less than 10 years. I'm planning on moving to a more rural state where I may have to disconnect. Yeah. So, like, I'll tell you, like, here's something I do, and I'm not proud of it, but I do tend to be quite idealistic. I have a melancholic sort of disposition, and I do tend to have one of those personalities that thinks, unless I'm doing this perfectly, I may as well not be doing it at all. You know what I mean? Like, unless I'm praying the rosary every night with my kids, then, you know, then may as well never pray the rosary. If I'm going to play it like once a week, like, I get so disappointed with myself. I do set expectations. So the reason I share that is like this idea of yours to kind of go to a rural state and disconnect. Maybe that is what you're being called to do, but it's like that line from the scripture, he who is faithful in small things will be put in charge of greater things. If I can't get rid of my phone, how the heck do I expect to ever live more rurally? Do you know what I mean? So rather than aiming for that big thing and not doing anything before you attain it, start trimming away right now those things that you can so that you will be in a position to better survive a more rural area. That would be something I would think of. This is lovely. Not listening to Spotify every time I have some free time. Yeah, quit. I think quit Spotify. I really think get rid of Spotify. Stop watching YouTube. Again, if you're going to be on YouTube, I think a video like this is more beneficial than a lot of videos. So I'm not totally crapping on my channel, but there you go. Do I still watch TV? Okay, so we have a TV in the basement. It's not a smart TV, so we do have DVDs that we've approved, you know, that our children can watch occasionally. But what we find is they get rather bored of that, and they definitely ask, like, why can't we have like Disney Plus? Why can't we? Sometimes because I'll have friends that have it, and like, I don't want to support stupid Disney. I don't want to support pornographic Netflix. Don't want to do it. So not going to happen. And they stop asking. And so, yeah, occasionally my kids would go downstairs and they'll watch a video, like a movie, like especially on Saturdays and Sunday mornings, you know, they might do that, or Saturday mornings. I never go into the basement to watch TV. Ugh. I don't want to do that because the basement's kind of gross. But some nights I'll say to my wife, hey, let's watch a show. And we do. We watch a show on her laptop. And I enjoy that very much. So I'm not, you know, maybe it'll be cool to get one to the place one day where I don't do that either. But I am still there right now. And that's okay for me. I like just being with my wife and hanging out, you know. Let's see. You're not helping me covet a dumb phone. I've been on the fence on this for a while, but I do use a couple of apps for my job. Right. So, okay. So maybe that's true. And maybe there is no way around it. And that's okay. Like, okay. But, you know, there's certain things that you can do on your smartphone to limit its accessibility significantly. In settings, you can block the App Store and have somebody else put in a code, right? You can even like seriously limit all the websites you can access through any other app, not just Safari, but any app. So you could have a smartphone that has those two apps and then kind of turn off the browser feature. There are ways that you can significantly reduce that. Jonathan says, what I've found, okay, so Jonathan's the fellow who has a dumb phone. He says, what I've found is that most of the inconvenience of dumb phone fall on other people. Yeah, exactly. Exactly, brother. My friends have to remember to text instead of message, or to not text me links or photos, rather email them. Yeah, exactly. Like people will text me a link and I can't do anything with that link. You know. But I also have friends who are even cooler than me. That's not hard, that maybe, but... they can't do group text because they've got like a flip old phone, you know? Or they're just really bad at texting. So when I'll text them, they just call me back, which I think is kind of nice. Here's something. If you want people to stop texting you, call them every time they text you. Hey, man, what's up? Hey! You know, maybe they don't really want to chat with you. That's kind of cool. Rachel, it's so lovely to see you here, my friend. I see you commenting on my different videos, and you seem like a lovely person, so thanks for being here. That said, I haven't read what this is about to say. I'm beginning to feel ready to do this. If you can do it, Matt, especially as your job is having a YouTube channel on the internet. Oh yeah, we can absolutely do it too. Yeah, exactly. Like that is a good point. Look, there might be legitimate situations where you can't get rid of your smartphone for work. I'm not pretending that there aren't those situations. But I run a YouTube channel. Think of all the excuses I could make as to why I need this for my family's livelihood, you know? But I got rid of it, and I'm really happy about that. So you probably can too. Or before you say no, at least consider you're a coward making excuses, and just sort of sit with that for a while and see if that's not the case. By the way, again, in a day and age where we're always being marketed something, it might be hard to take me seriously because I'm actually telling you to do something with your life. And whenever someone's telling you to do something with your life, it's because they're benefiting from it. I've already said Wisephone aren't paying me right now to promote this. They might in the future. They might become advertisers, but they're not right now. I certainly don't benefit from you not watching my YouTube videos. Like, there's no benefit here that I can think of. That's not why I'm telling you to get rid of your smartphone. What the hell do I care, you know? Like, I don't know you. But I really do think it would be better for you. And there's two friends in Steubenville, actually, who I bought Wisephones for. I said, I'll buy these Wisephones if you get rid of your smartphones. And they did. And now they're using it. My friend Sam Guzman, I had on the show recently. I'm not sure if you ever watched that episode, but halfway through, I told him point blank, I'm like, dude, you were at my house last night and you were on your phone a ton. Way too much. Like, I kind of cooled him out a little, as gently as I could. And if you remember, I told Catholic Jamie, like, get the website up, let's buy him a phone. If you promise me you'll get rid of your smartphone, I'll buy it right now. And he didn't do it. But 2 days later, he texted me and he said, I'm ready. So he got rid of his smartphone and I bought him this Wisephone. I'm not saying I'm going to do that to every human being. It was just like, my whole point in saying that is I'm not benefiting you from you doing this. And I'm not trying to be like a self-righteous pharisaical jerk who thinks I'm better than other people. I'm not. I'm someone who has an addictive personality, whose head feels scrambled, and who wants to live a more peaceful life. This is one of the ways I've been able to do it, and I'm seeing actual benefits that are beautiful, and I want that for you as well, even though I don't know you. This person says, I'm going to show this to my husband who is actually addicted to his screens. I wonder if you have talked about screen addiction before. Good for you, yeah. Have I talked about it? I speak and have spoken a lot on the issue of pornography. So I talk about pornography addiction and how in order for something to be addictive, it doesn't have to be a substance you're bringing into your body. That was sort of the old way we thought of addiction. Since neuroscientists started looking into the brain, it's changed how we understand the nature of addiction. Not just substances, but behaviors can be addictive as well. Gambling, for example, pornography, social media. There's good reason to think that these things are having negative impacts on our brain. Jay says, does your life feel better now despite the inconvenience of not having a smartphone? I want to make the leap of faith so bad, but I need to know it is truly worth it. Could I get 3 pros, 3 cons? Okay. So I don't know if you've listened to if you just jumped on the live stream, but 3 cons. Okay. I don't get to listen to podcasts. Sometimes I go on a road trip and I would really like to be able to listen to a podcast that my friends are talking about. That's a con. I can't really think of any because the others sound like cons, but they're not really. Like, for example, when someone sends me a link, like someone sent me a link the other day and they said, hey, this is this comedian at their finest. And I couldn't click on it where I was and I really wanted to. So that's a con, but it was like, but I don't want to walk around just responding to people's links. So it's cons. Okay, it's a bit glitchy. The phone's a little bit glitchy. Like sometimes you'll click messages and it'll take a millisecond to open. Like, this is created by several Christians north of Dallas. It's not created by a massive corporation in California that has a bazillion people working for them. So occasionally it freezes, but nothing so bad that I think, oh, this isn't going to work. So there's little frustrations like that, but you kind of just get used to it. It's yeah. So I don't know, man. I don't really have cons to having this dumb phone. Another con, though, is if you travel for work, one thing that happened to me is I was flying Delta and I usually have my Delta app open and it tells me when it's boarding. Because I didn't have my smartphone, I missed my flight. I've never missed my flight. I've traveled so much in the last 8 years. So that was weird. So that's another con. Like, one of the cons is the world is now assuming you have an iPhone. And so everything is being built around that fact. So it is inconvenient. But the fact that you're saying to me that you want to make this leap of faith so bad shows me that, like, yeah, it's causing anxiety. It's causing confusion. It's causing cloud fog. And you want to be away from that. Let me say this, though, because I think, and I've said this before, but I think we expect the same immediate gratification from quitting our smartphones as we do from technology. In other words, technology has accustomed us to expect things immediately. And so what happens is people hear me give a talk on YouTube and then they get rid of their iPhone and they get a Wise phone, which is a dumb phone for those just showing up, link in the description below. And then they're like, this is annoying. I don't feel like peaceful and stuff. It's like, yeah, I know, but like you just have to just give it a second. So that would be another thing I'd say. Vincent says, if I am able to regulate my phone usage, do I really need to switch to a dumb phone? I'm a young person. It just seems impractical. So, I mean, I guess no. If it's not a problem for you, then it's not a problem for you. But I think what happens is most of us think we have more self-control than we actually do. And I don't think you should overestimate how pathetic you are. And not just you. I mean, you might be pathetic. I am. But other people. People will say things like, well, I'm going to set like a limit on my phone so I'll get a notification when to turn it off before bed. Or I'm going to have a blue screen, you know, that thing that they do so it doesn't affect the blue light doesn't affect my eyes or whatever. Or I'm going to have a house for my phone and I'm going to make sure it plugs in there. But then what happens is we're weak and pathetic human beings and our phones are smarter, I'm using that word in a sort of analogous sense, than we are. And we don't have the kind of self-control we thought we did. The other thing is when you're surrounded by a world of people addicted to their iPhones, just because you're not as bad as them doesn't mean you're not bad. You might look good next to them, but that doesn't mean you're in a good place. So my answer is no, of course you don't need to switch to a dumb phone. But you should consider it, I think. Benjamin has the opposite problem. He says, people get on my case for not responding to my phone often enough. It's been an issue with my job since I work remotely now. Yeah, obviously, like, job and friends are different. I mean, you have a responsibility to your job and employer in a way that you don't to your friends, all right? Obviously, we ought to be more committed to our friends than we are to our employer, but if our employer is paying us a wage, you know, we have a responsibility, and we don't want to shirk that responsibility. So, you know, that's something to consider. Okay, look at Jay. Just said, thank you. I'm taking the leap of faith. All right, yeah, do it, or, you know, do it if you think you want to. Again, I'm not trying to I don't want to twist anybody's arm. If you're here today, you're like, oh, okay, don't do it then. Just keep your iPhone. Keep getting the next latest gadget. Let it totally take over your brain. That's an option for you, you know? But again, there's a link in the description below to these dumb phones called Wise phones. They have maps, they have group text, even voice to text, and photos. If you use promo code FRADD, F-R-A-D-D, they're not paying me to do this. I just asked them if I could give you guys a promo code. You'll get $40 off this phone. I reckon you should do it. But I also think there needs to be a level of commitment, because I think what will happen for some of you is you'll go get the Wise phone. You'll get all excited because the box looks kind of cool, but you'll keep your iPhone in a drawer, and then you'll just go back to your iPhone. Like, I think you should smash your phone. Don't give it to somebody. Don't put that burden upon them. Destroy it, and that way you'll have no backup plan, and you'll get used to it. That's what I reckon. Cheers. What's this fellow say? What about living like the Amish? Yeah, I think the Amish are totally onto something, and I am this close to becoming Amish. Catholic Amish. Do you find yourself being able to focus better since switching? I have a theory. Phone addiction significantly contributes to ADHD-type symptoms. Yeah, I have. Just like an example I gave last time was I took August off the internet, and what I do is I'd wake up, make a coffee, go sit on my couch and play like a record and just read. And this one day I looked at my wife and I went, oh, hey, good morning. I just memorized a poem. And she said, well, when did you memorize it? I said, just then. It was pretty cool. Like, it's not a short poem. And I said, here, hold the book. See if I've got this right. And there's a few words I had to work on. But, like, that kind of stuff was really cool. Yeah. My wife wants a dumb phone. How affordable is the Wise phone? Well, let me tell you this. The money that you'll save in data alone will help you afford this Wise phone. If you use the promo code FRAD, F-R-A-D-D, they give you $40 off. I think it's like $370. But then you're essentially using like a dumb phone, like whatever that is, a month. It's very cheap. And think about all the money you'll save from not buying all the bullcrap Amazon and Google want you to buy. Okay, this is a fair problem. The problem for me is I want music on my phone. That's fine. So that's a fair criticism. So maybe don't get this phone. Just have a smartphone. I did speak to the guy at Wise Phone, and he said they're about to make it so that they'll have a music app. And it sounds like what they're going to do is, and I don't speak for them, so maybe I've got this wrong, but it sounded like they were saying that they'll make it so that you basically drag MP3s onto this thing. So you're still very intentional about the music you're consuming. And I like that because, you know, maybe if let's say I have to go on a big road trip, it'll be kind of cool to be like, okay, what podcasts do I want to listen to? I want to listen to these 5, you know, and then maybe I'll drag them, download them to my desktop, and then drag them into my phone, and I can listen to them that way. I'm still being very intentional about it, so I like that. But I totally understand. Jacob says, Matt Fradd, this is great content. A lot of my biggest screw-ups in life wouldn't have been possible without smartphones, so I can't imagine what life would be like without it. Yeah. Well, I tell you, like, if you want to overcome pornography, this is a great way to do it. It's one way. I mean, it's not the only way, and it's certainly more of a Band-Aid than anything else, just to get rid of a computer. But yeah, man, like, I have no access to technology when I go home. I mean, the internet. That's what I meant. I have no access to the internet at home. So, like, let's say I get tempted to look at porn. It's not actually an option for me. So, like, that's cool. So if you're out there and you've been complaining about how hard it is to break free of pornography, and I say to you, where do you often look at pornography? And you say, well, my phone. Yeah, well, this will do it, you know. Like, as I say, their map feature on Wise Phone, they created. So there's no images. It's not like Google Maps where you can type in a restaurant, see all the images, scroll through, click through to a website. There's nothing like that. But the maps work great. So I had to go to Pittsburgh recently, and I was plugging in different addresses, and it was fine, you know. It even directs you with voice and stuff like that, so I like that. This is a really great point, mate. He says, phone addiction reminds me of that line from Fight Club. When the thing you own ends up owning you. And I'll tell you what happens. When the thing you own starts owning you, the first thing you do is become defensive and make excuses. You say, no, that's not true. I need this, right? I can put this down. It's not a problem. It's not that we become very defensive. But I think maybe for many of us, again, not all of you, but for some of you, the first step to freedom is just to be like, yeah, bloody well does own me. You're right. It does. Okay, fine. It does. There's always a good reason to go on my phone. I'm going to get rid of the bastard. Get rid of it. It's one option. Do what you want. Silvertop says, I completely agree with you, Matt. You're inspiring me to smash my smartphone and replace it with a dumb phone or a Wise phone. I'm doing it. Thank you so much for this video. Silvertop, I'm just going to make this random suggestion to you. If you write to my assistant, her name's Melanie, assistant@mattfradd.com. All right? Prove to her that you're Silvertop. Let's talk, because if you can take a video of yourself smashing your phone like you say you want to, I'll buy you a Wise phone. I don't want to have 100 people emailing my assistant telling me they're Silvertop. But there you go. That's a promise. If you, and we'll talk about this over email, right? But if you destroy your phone and you videotape it for me so I see you doing it, I'll buy you a Wise phone. But let's talk about it on email before this contract goes into effect, because there's a few other stipulations I'd want to make. Temptations can do things you even can't imagine you could do. Can you save PDF files on the Wise phone? No. Hey, let me show you a bit more about the Wise phone since I've been talking about it so much. For the 500th time, I want to say they don't pay me right now to talk about them. They don't even know that I'm doing a video on them. I don't make any money off the promo code Fradd. Nothing. That's not why I'm promoting Wise Phone. I'm just promoting it because I like it. Techless.com, link in the description below. Here's what it looks like. Clock, calculator, maps, camera, settings, phone, messages. Scroll down here. Tired of this? Meet the alternative. So these little dots mean messages and phone calls you've missed. That's what they mean. So you pick it up, you see that. Swipe to unlock. Yeah. You know, the other thing it's great for is kids. Like if you've got like a kid and you want them to get a phone, and look at this, clean interface with no third-party tracking. Isn't that nice? Yeah, so if you've got a kid and they want a phone, don't you dare get them an iPhone or a Android. Like, honestly, I love you, but shame on you if you do that. I mean, it's one thing if you get it and thoroughly lock it down so it's essentially a dumb phone. But if you give your child a phone and don't lock it down, shame on you. Stop it. Stop it now. It's not okay. Take your kid's phone. Break that first. Yeah! Say Matt Fradd said. They'll love it. But you don't want to do that to your kids. Even if porn didn't exist, my kids wouldn't have smartphones. My beautiful daughter, I love her so much. Her name's Avila. She's one of my favorite human beings in the world. She makes me laugh in a way that no other human being makes me laugh. And she just started reading the Little House on the Prairie books. And she loves it so much. And she's reading them with a friend. And her and friends last night were coming up with a play in someone's backyard a couple of doors down, and then they performed it for the parents. They wouldn't be doing that if they had smartphones. They'd be worrying about what Instagram filter made their skin look good. We got to make violent breaks away from this technological culture, like violent breaks. Even, I think, significantly more changes than what I'm suggesting here, I think need to happen. I'd be checking my phone for dots all day. All right. You could always get rid of phones altogether. You know, don't have a phone at all. Anyway, man, I'm going to leave it at that. Bless you. I want to let you guys know that I'll be interviewing Father Jason today. He's a Ukrainian Byzantine priest. He's going to be in studio. We're going to have some cigars, have a good chat. I'm really looking forward to it. If you're around, feel free to watch. But again, your life would be better if you didn't watch. Just go read a book. Go play with your kids. Don't watch me. Don't watch the crap I constantly push out. Unless you're going to be on YouTube anyway, in which case, yeah, some of these videos would probably be a lot more edifying than cat videos. Okay, maybe not cat videos. Cat videos are pretty edifying, but, you know, I'm going to go. Bless you, my friends. Again, click the link in the description below to go check out Wise Phone. Use Fradd in the description, Fradd. They'll give you $40 off. You'll save a ton of money, and your brain will thank you for it. And so will your spouse and children and friends, who you will now be paying a lot more attention to. It's been 3 months off the phone. I will never, ever go back.